Some things you hunger for, you've actually insulated yourself from. And that is today's Morning Moxie. Welcome to the Morning Moxie Show. I am your host, Alicia Sharp, and today we have Bill Johnson, and this is his third part of his message on dealing with difficult seasons and painful seasons. And he is talking to us about Gideon and how Gideon actually had to go down to the enemy's camp to hear the message that he kind of needed to hear to give him courage to stand up and do the thing that God had called him to do. Here's Bill.
Interesting thing happened to Gideon. I'm about to wrap this up just as a warning. Interesting thing happened to Gideon. A lot of us really loved Gideon because he was so fearful, and we can identify with him. You know, he just had a hard time coming to grips with the fact that God chose him, and then chose him to do something significant. And it's a great story. But Gideon had this point where, you know, we know about the fleece, where he lays out this fleece before the Lord answers, and it's a bizarre story, but it didn't end there. He's still riddled with fear. And so finally, I think it's in chapter 6 or 7, I think maybe it is chapter 7 of Judges, if you want to read it. The Lord speaks to Gideon. He says, if you're afraid, take your assistant, your servant, and go with him and just go into the enemy's camp. Now, I don't know if that sounds reasonable to you, but the enemy's camp is what I'm afraid of. And why would I want to go into the enemy's camp if I'm afraid of the enemy? But see, there are some things you can't get where you're safe. Some things that you hunger for, you've actually insulated yourself from. You've set the stage so well for your comfort that you don't have access to what you've actually asked for.
Yeah, that's right.
Rarely, seldom does he give us what we ask for before we need it. It's like stepping onto the plane. You get the ticket for the plane when you step on. I mean, it's just kind of the way he seems to work. You don't have it 3 months in advance. Oftentimes you get it the moment you're stepping into that direction. And so here is Gideon. He's scared to death. He's got this assignment that already God's sent home his entire army. He's got 300 guys. And he's facing tens of thousands of warriors. He's scared. And so God says, if you're afraid, go to the enemy's camp. The very next scene, he's in the enemy's camp. So what does that tell you? Yes, he's afraid. But he went down by night, which was smart. And he hears people talking, two guys talking, soldiers in a tent, and he hears them talking. And one guy says, I had this dream. This loaf of bread rolled down the hill and wiped out our tent. Now, you know, I'm not the best dream interpreter, but I would be inclined to think pizza, spicy foods, shouldn't have watched that TV show before he went to sleep, something like that. But his partner, fellow soldier, says, oh, that's none other than Gideon, the servant of the Lord and his army. They're going to wipe us out. How did he get that from a loaf of barley bread rolling down a hill? It's awesome. And, you know, even if it wasn't the interpretation, it was what Gideon needed to hear. It was the interpretation. So Gideon's listening to these guys talking. The guy says, oh, that's none other than Gideon and his army. They're going to wipe us out. Gideon hears that and goes, yes, we are. And he walks back out of the camp. And he gets his courage, but he got his courage in the weirdest place. He got it in the valley of the shadow of death. That's where he got it. He got it where in the natural he wasn't safe. But because he was sent by God, he was completely safe. And he heard what he needed to hear. He got the word he needed to get. And I've got this sense that, I never want to encourage people to be foolish, but I just got this sense that there's a few folks in the room that you've kept yourself so safe, you've kept yourself from the present word of the Lord that is to bring the breakthrough for your life. I don't mean to do something foolish. I just mean break down the barriers that have kept you safe. Open yourself up. Watch what the Lord will do. He'll speak to you. Somebody will have the weirdest dream, and you know exactly what it means. Oh, that's Gideon. That's the barley loaf guy. That's who that is. And the Lord just speaks that way. He just speaks in the most unusual ways, but he does it just to reinforce the call in your heart. And here's where I want to wrap this up tonight. I'm on a journey. I've been the bold faith person. Not always filled with bold faith, but at least going in that direction. That's what I want. That's what I live for. I would never say I've not developed a trust in him, because that's a large part of my life is just the quiet trust. So I've been emphasizing bold faith, bold faith, bold faith. I get launched into about a 3-month period where nothing's working. I mean, the people I pray for, nothing's working. I can tell I just don't even really want to speak. Not out of discouragement, not out of depression, just I can feel I've been set down. Bill, it's time to sit. And I've been sitting, or actually laying. Sitting and laying. With no reason. Just reading promises. Just reading the encouraging words. I collect words. I collect encouraging words. I get prophecies. I have one set in here that's just all prophetic words on one particular theme. So I just take all the pieces. I put it in one document and I just read through it. I also have my dream list on here, my personal dream list. I don't know how many things. I have 100 dreams, but I think it's more than that. But I just have this page after page, and I lay in the hospital and just read through my dream list. Why? Because my life doesn't end in the hospital. I'm just being trained for my dream list, that's all. I'm being trained for my dream. I'm being trained for something else. This is not an ending. This is, in a unique way, a new beginning. This is where the renewed strength of the eagle kicks in. It's where you don't function for a while. Why? I don't know why, but I just know it's right. You just don't function for a while, and it's all right. My identity isn't in what I do anyway. It's just not. It's just not. I feel like that was settled a long time ago. My identity is entirely in the one who calls my name. That's it. He called me by name. That's my identity. So, bold faith, weird 3 months. I don't want to idolize the valley of the shadow of death, because then I'll create a theology that says, let's build a tabernacle here. I don't want to build one there. I don't want to build one in memory of the hundreds that were around the pool of Bethesda that weren't healed. So I just want you to know, that's probably the only time I'll talk about it. My hands are cleansed. It's over. If I do it again, it'll be by accident or because he told me to. Season for breakthrough.
That was Bill Johnson, and you can find that clip on YouTube if you search under Difficult Seasons Bill Johnson Bethel Church. You can also find out more information about him at his ministry website, bjm.org. Well, that is all I have for you today. I hope you have an amazing day today, and I will see you again tomorrow for another episode of Morning Moxie. God bless.